Hi, I'm Larry Chandonnet with Engage Machinery, and today we're going to talk about the Enforcer ENF 48 TS slit the width and cut the length line. It's a 48 9-inch wide 16 gauge capacity slitter. It'll do 3 slits of 16 gauge or 5 slits of 20 gauge. We also have the features on it is in-feed rollers here. The reason why we have them at an angle here is if you're running a manual decoiler or a power decoiler, the loop will change, and it's a nice feature to have them smoothly go into the in-feed guides here. The in-feed guides have roller bearings inside this side guide on both sides. You have 2 sets on either side, and that ensures that you're actually gauging off an actual hardened surface rather than a machined surface that'll wear over time. And the roller bearings just kind of guide the material through. You can lock it down and move it with the hand wheel, and then it has an easy lock right here. You can also fit a film applicator right here. It bolts onto the side, comes down, goes through this idler roller here, and then feeds into the pinch roller. What's unique on ours is a fully rubberized white pinch roller. The reason why we use fully rubberized is when you're feeding film, some machines are segmented and the film will not lay totally flat. The control is designed and built by us at Engage, and there's different modes of it you can run, and what we'd encourage you to do is go to the video that shows all the features on the control. The Enforcer TS also has, and also on all the Enforcer slitters, you can raise and lower the knives. You can do this motorized, or you can do it physically by the arm lever. It's a guillotine shear, this one. You can also get an AL series, which is a rotary cut shear. The machine has a unitized construction on the base, and you can pick it up with forklift inserts. You can bolt it down, of course, if you're in a area that the floor is uneven. You should bolt it down. As far as changing a knife, what I would do is just come to manual mode, hit position blades. The knives will rotate until you get to a position where you can access them. The shear would drop down so it's easy access, and then you can come over here to change the knives. You can also get this in what's called a KT version, where there will be a table that flips up. The shear would be moved back, and the operator can change the knives by flipping up the table and walking right in front of it. When we sell those is on people that will want a recoiling line, and they have a complete line and they want to be able to walk through the line rather than going all the way around. They'll walk in between the KT table. Also, if you're slitting and recoiling at the same time, very rare, but it's nice to have it with the KT table to go over for the recoiling and cutting to length on the other portion. You can still do it on this TS version too. Our knives, you can cut on both sides of the knives. We use a unique cap lock design, which is nice because it makes it very easy and fast to change the knives, and the knives will never move. It's a half moon on the cap lock, and the shaft is a 4-inch shaft, which is hardened, and it's a mild steel on the cap lock, so you're never scoring the shaft. There's a very high tolerance of less than a half thousandths between the knife and the shaft. So you can move the knives so easily today as you can 10 years from now. What's nice about cutting on both sides is your knives are going to last a lot longer. As far as what I recommend is you cut on one side and then switch over to the other side. when you need to. It comes standard with 5 knives. You can get up to 9, 10 knives depending on your application. In the quotation you can look at the capacity based on the knives. It has on the door it stays up, and for safety it's got a lockout right here. This is a limit switch, so if you have the door open the machine won't run. The scale, we use a red scale, and the reason why is years ago it was suggested by a shop that they had low lighting and they wanted something darker so it's easier to read. And what we found is a silver scale, it's very hard to read in a low lit environment, where the red scale is very easy for them to see in a low lit environment. The guillotine shear is the capacity, actually is greater than the capacity of the machine. This shear can do 14 gauge capacity on our 16 gauge slitting capacity. So if you want to cut the length, then you could go with cutting the length 14 gauge. This machine does not have the straightening. You can get it in 3-roll powered, 4-roll, and 6-roll straightening. Straightening is used to take out coil set, and someone would want different configurations of rolls depending on what type of material they're running. Okay, now we're going to show you about 2 things. One here is the auto load and also the material savings mode. Material savings mode is when you're doing a batch, and let's say you're doing 3 cuts of ridge cap, okay, and there's a chasm in between the slitter and the shear, and what will happen is you'll the control will ask you after right before the last cut to raise the knives so the material feeds over and cuts the length, so there's no wasted space here as far as slitting to shearing. One thing to also talk about while we're standing here by the shear is some machines have the shear in front of the slitter. The problem with that design is that once it cuts the length, there's a distance when the shear is on the other side that there is no guiding of the material. So it's going through the slitting and it tends to walk on pieces. If you talk to anyone that has those, they will definitely tell you that that's a problem for the last section of the piece sometimes, especially on narrow like J channels where you're doing 4 or 5 inch cuts. It'll walk that section from the shear to the slitter. Okay, so now what I'm simulating is the quickness of changing out. Other machines you have to, let's say we just did corners, and now we're gonna, or rakes, and now we're gonna go to a ridge cap. I just changed the knives to a ridge cap, and on other machines what you would have to do is zero out the machine and then start your process. Ours, we have auto load on it, and there's an electric guide that knows where 0 is, so it knows where the material is as you change your knives. So I just changed them. I'll bring the table up. Bring the shear back up. Controls tell me to lift the knives up, feeds forward, final cut, and then you can see that it's a nice cut at the very end.